So the origins of Camera Show goes back to the comic strips that I used to make.
It was a game. It was like Ron. You got to take a risk, because if you don't take a risk, you're screwing yourself in the end.
Hey, move, bitch, I'm trying to raise. You ain't come to party, get the fuck up on my way. Hey,
alright, ladies and gentlemen, the comic book business and fans of all things heroic. Welcome to the DEANSTER podcast. On today's show, we dive deep into the world of Marvel, DC, and life as a YouTuber. With one of the brightest minds in the fan fiction realm, I'm your host, Brady Dean, and today we have a special guest. Two special guests, actually, who's been captivating the imaginations of over 200,000 subscribers on YouTube with his spellbinding stories. Joining us, none other than the creative genius behind the digital pen name Mr. Park. He is the architect of an alternative realities, Max Charlebois. Known to his loyal fans as Mr. Park, has taken the online fanfiction community by storm with a staggering 56,400,000 plus views and counting. His stories have become a digital sanctuary for those seeking new adventures and fresh perspectives on their favorite comic book heroes. Today, we're diving into the mind and exploring the inspiration behind his creations, the challenges of his YouTube journey, reshaping iconic narratives, and perhaps even uncovering a few exclusive teasers for what's next in the fan fiction universe. So buckle up as we embark on a journey into the realms of imagination with the one and only Max Charlebois, or known as AKA Mr. Park.
Thank you for having me. It's an exciting time, lots of energy within this room. I feel like it's even more energy now that we're here finally doing this, so thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's crazy to be here because we talked about this in September. Like the first day that we met, we were like, hey, I do YouTube. And then we were like, why don't we do like a podcast and talk? And like it's awesome being here. So I'm really excited. We got lots to talk about.
We do. And also to bring into this, we have Cameron, the Cameron Show. He also does YouTube as well. So I thought he'd be a good co-host to be a part of. And we'll just dive into things. But yeah, go on, Cameron.
Thank you for having me on here. And I mean, it's great. And just like you said, a lot of great energy in here. And I mean, it's fun for us to be able to get out here, do a podcast. And I mean, just how, like you said too, like first time when we all met each other, it's like, oh shit, we all have similarities and make videos on YouTube and obviously sometimes different content, but hey, it's still the same, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, and hey, that's nothing wrong with that, and that's
exactly,
And like when we all met, it was like we were all going to our third class, and we started hearing conversations. People creating different things, and we were like, we don't have much in common. We're on the same platform, but we were like, why not try something? Why not do something? So it's really interesting that we're doing this because we're coming from a place where everybody's so diverse.
Exactly.
It's all different. Like you're doing animations.
I do vlogs, travel stuff. And then you do comic stuff, which is what if, which is pretty. I mean, you've grown a pretty significant fan base, over the years, which is like, well, actually, let's get into that. Actually, so like, how did you come up with the name of your channel? How did you get started? Like what inspired you to get started with YouTube?
So it's funny because like I get to hear this question a lot from like so many different people, and it's interesting because the channel itself at the beginning. So I made this channel in 2016, January 31st. So we're almost going on like 8 years, I think.
Yeah.
And
8 years.
It was more of like a test channel because I got this PlayStation 4 for Christmas. So they had this new ability where it was like you could live stream, you could like post content. I'm like, I want to do something like that. So originally the channel started as more of like a test channel to see if I could get the live streams on like the PlayStation 4 to go onto the channel. And so originally the name like Miss the Part was from I Missed the Part Where That's My Problem from Spider-Man 2002.
Yeah.
But it was originally my PSN name before it was the Miss the Part channel. And so the original channel, you want to hear the name, what it actually was?
Yeah, well,
It was like Ronald. It was Ronald McDonald something. And God! It was a game. It was like Ronald McDonald 001 or something like that.
Damn.
And it was like this channel that was just making these videos with like wrestling, just random stuff on PlayStation.
Oh yeah.
And then after I'd switched it to Miss the Part, and I started doing these like Marvel Spider-Man reviews. I started talking about that game, specifically covering that game. And then a couple of years down the line, I was like, I want to do something different because the game was out for about a year maybe. And then I was kind of like, okay, like this channel has to adapt, has to survive because covering the game, covering any game, like you're going to bring in people.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And so it's like you have to adapt because when that when it reaches a certain threshold, it's done. Like you're gonna have to wait more years for the sequel or whatever. And I was like, I'm not gonna wait around. I want to grow. I want to do something now. And so I thought I'm gonna do an experimental thing. And I did one of my first fan fictions that I wrote, and that was, what if Green Goblin had killed Spider-Man? And that's when slowly it was making the puzzles, and it was like people actually liked this video. And I was like, we got to do something with this particular series. So then I started doing like the second one, which was what if Spider-Man kept the symbiote? And then people started coming in and they were like, what is this? Like, what's going on? Yeah. So then it just kept growing and growing. And I was like, okay, what can I do differently? And then that's kind of how the multiverse niche on my channel began, was just from taking a chance. And I think a lot of people don't do that on the platform. Like, you got to take a risk, because if you don't take a risk, you're screwing yourself in the end. And I tell this to anybody, just create what you want to do.
Oh yeah.
Don't abide by anybody's rules, systems, or anything like that. Just do what you want and see what happens. So that's
very fascinating.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's an amazing backstory on how like you just like took a chance, and like, well, I feel like that's what YouTube is. Like, not a lot of people, like, they take the chance, but they don't really know what they want to record or do, or they see these other social influencers online and they'll be like, hey, I gotta do something like that in order to get like famous, or but like, so for instance, for you, like, how did you start?
Yeah, so for me, I started my channel way back in February 2018, which was, I say, about almost 6 years now. Actually, almost, because next month is going to be a 6-month anniversary, which is, or 6-year anniversary.
6 months.
Well, 6 months, yeah.
6
totally,
years,
but, yeah.
6 years, yeah.
But what's interesting, though, about the channel is that it was never originally called Camera Show. Originally, it was called MOTR, which stood for March of the Resistance. Now, to explain the context of that, so going back to the early stage, so I say about late 2017 is I was on the verge, because like art is my talent, and I've done paintings and drawings, and I used to make my own comic strips at school. And one time I couldn't help but think, I could kind of go a little bit further to sort of take the next step. And what I wanted to do was do animation. So I kind of did practice a little bit with some apps here and there. And it was, I'd say it was an interesting, obviously one step at a time. And I mean, I wasn't too perfect yet, but I mean, and during the time I was telling my cousin, who also has a YouTube channel, his channel is Infernato, and he and we used to do like role play series together. So it was like him and I, we sort of like collabed, like, in terms of like making videos and stuff like that together. And so yeah, during that year, I guess I told him that I was working on or practicing with my animation skills. And at one point he said, hey, do you want to do like a Star Wars animated series? So because he has sort of an idea in his mind for the sequel trilogy during the time when that was coming out. And obviously, as we all know, The Last Jedi was met with a lot of mixed reviews from everybody. It was the most
Gotta
polarized.
watch it.
Yeah, it's I remember watching it for the first time, and I'm like, and my cousin has the same thoughts too. But I mean, we were during that time. Oh, sorry, he wants.
No, sorry.
No,
I'm
I was
thinking,
like,
my
I
bad.
cut you off with two
No,
questions.
you're good. You're good.
No, but I mean, I was gonna say though, yeah. So we were discussing about making an animated Star Wars series, like a fan series, right? But during the last time that The Last Jedi came out, we were thinking, okay, well, what if we kind of did a series that takes place after The Last Jedi, but we kind of like sort of fixed the problems that The Last Jedi did. So
It's almost like a fan fiction.
Yeah, pretty much.
In some sense, yeah.
kind of like what Max does a little bit.
Oh yeah,
In a way.
Kind of.
Like-
yeah. Like we were sort of still embracing what The Last Jedi left us, like before we got Episode 9, but we kind of want to sort of like take time between like that film and Episode 9, depending like whatever they go during the time there. And I mean, obviously we know what happens after that, but so it was early 2018 when I kind of got comfortable with the animation app that I used during the time, and so we kind of worked on a script like for the first episode, and for the remaining of 4 months, I've been animating like most of the parts. Now, the final result was like 7 to 8 minutes long, so it was like. But the thing is that throughout the time, now the whole purpose of the channel, going back to that now, so it was originally called MOTR, which was meant to be just the sole purpose of just that series. But then during the time, I was thinking, okay, I mean, I was for some reason I was thinking, okay, well, I kind of want to release like other kind of videos. I hope that's fine with my cousin there, but so I started releasing like random videos like here and there, like specifically art videos, because before I had the YouTube channel, I've been mostly posting like most of my art videos on like across social media, mostly Facebook, because that's where I can be able to post longer videos, right? But and then I started posting them on my YouTube channel, and the more I posted different kinds of content besides the series, I'm thinking, okay, this channel is no longer related to March of Resistance, so I figured I might as well just change it to something that's, that can stick true to So the origins of Camera Show goes back to the comic strips that I used to make, because the original title for that was The Camera Show, because it was just a simple title for my comic strips, but I mean, I just figured, hey, it wouldn't be that bad, and I mean, that's kind of like my nickname too, so I might as well just throw it in there. So that's why so that's kind of like the origin of The Camera Show, just from the comic strips, and I guess from my cartoon character too, because that's like, I guess, his nickname, you would say. But so during the time, now going back to that series that my cousin and I used to do, was so during that time, near the end, when I was finishing with the series, it was like I was so almost near the end, I'm thinking, I don't know if this is really for me, because like, two things. One, The Last Jedi, I didn't like it. And the way that Disney was going with Star Wars, it just didn't seem right, that it was just like, and also two, this is like a fan series, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, obviously, but I'm just thinking, this is not canon. And I kind of, because I had other ideas that I want to do for my animations, so I just thought, okay. But I mean, I did talk with my cousin about it, and he didn't mind about it. He thought, hey, that's all right. So we'll just release the first episode, and then if I felt comfortable, we could maybe continue the series. But eventually it did get canceled. But I mean, the first episode is out. Looking back at it, I'm not a big fan of it, because it's like kind of
When you think
outdated.
your old work is like what? Just like with any creator, like you think that your old work's kind of like cringy.
Yeah, that's the
like,
best way to describe it. But
Yeah.
it's
I mean,
Kind of.
are there any new projects that like you guys are gonna be working on? Like for you, Max, anything sneak peek wise for your future viewers, or
There's
that you could share?
a lot of projects that's coming out.
How do you come up with your ideas?
They're all in here. Like they,
Yeah,
it's
No
all
way.
in here. But like
Yeah,
when I get an idea,
elaborate for me, man.
it's like, that's the thing. Like if I get an idea, like I'll think of, okay, like what do I want to make? What am I wanting to create, to put out there? So essentially, I'll start coming up with like concepts, and I'll write them down on like a Google Doc, and I'll be like, okay, like what could I do for this specific idea? Like what elements do I want to add in? And so I'll give you a sneak peek on one of them. And this hasn't been written down. This is all up here. But essentially I wanted to do a storyline where I'm just like, okay, like what do I want to write? And so the story's like, okay, let's change a small little thing within the story. So if it's like a what if, it has to be interesting. So there's a really cool scene in Captain America Civil War where this what if would take place. And it's like Peter Parker goes with Captain America and Iron Man to like the ending fight scene. And so it's just like, okay, well, what are we going to do that's different if he's there, if there's a character there?
Yeah.
So then my mind starts bouncing with all these ideas like, okay, like what's next? Like what's going to happen next? And so something I find always significant has to change to make it interesting, because you could change the slightest thing and nothing happens. So it has to be really interesting. And I thought with this particular storyline, there's like these super soldier sleepers. Okay. And they're like, and do you know that scene where they're like sleeping in the chambers? And so they shut it down and they kill them all.
Yeah.
But in this story, it's like, well, what if that didn't happen? What if they all broke out? And so you have Spider-Man there, who's now a new player in the storyline. And you have Captain America and Iron Man.
That'd be pretty cool.
And I haven't written this down. But this is a story that I want to write. And it's just like, they just come out of the top of my head. And so it's like head to paper or to laptop.
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
And so like that's usually how I would get the idea. Like it's just like I would either watch or read something and it's just like, well, what if this happened?
Yeah.
And then you can then change it and add on to it. And so the story itself would be like, what if Spider-Man became a killer? And so essentially he would probably kill Captain America if he's on Iron Man's team. But it's just like, how would that play out? I don't have the full story right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how long does it normally take you to create the video, to do the graphic designing on it in a way? Or like, you know what I mean? Like how long does it take you to do a video? Because I know you post like at least like what, 3 videos a week? Or
there's
try
like,
to something
there's
like
like
that?
I try to do like 3 a week. I've been trying to take out like a day out of the week to like edit, record, and write. And so when I had a lot of time over the Christmas holiday, you probably saw
I saw
like,
a lot.
You saw
a
a lot
of notifications.
And so I had the extra time to just write, record, and just edit everything. And so what I would usually do is, for me, I would hire a lot of these artists.
Yeah.
And I would have a slate made. And I'd say, okay, I want 6 videos made this month or this week. We're going to write whatever that I want down. And so then I would say, okay, we're going to get this artist to make these characters or thumbnails. Recently, I've changed the style because instead of a full thumbnail, it's just one character now, because I thought that it was getting too busy. Like you're seeing everything, but I wanted it to be like, well, how could I maybe save money?
Yeah.
And so you would essentially want to get more for bulk. And so that's what I've done recently. And so I'd say, okay, well, I'm making these videos, I'm writing them right now. I need them as soon as possible. And they would just draw the characters and they would send them in. They'd send about like 3 or 4 weekly. And so recently it's really helped me a lot, because getting one thumbnail last summer, I would wait 3 weeks. I'd pay the guy.
Gosh,
and unfortunately, I don't work with them anymore because it was just taking too long. And so there, it would affect when I upload, and then I'm at their mercy. It's like, no, you're going to be at my mercy and paying you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, I mean, I've gone into the rhythm of just like really planning out. Taking the time to plan out. And I think it's really worked well. So.
Yeah.
What about
so
schedule?
for me, I say it'd be safe for me to say that I am actually currently working on a new animation. I actually started working on it a while back. It's I say it's nothing too crazy, but it's something for fun. Like it's actually a funny animation because it's sort of a reanimated scene from a clip that one of my friends had sent into the group chat one day. It was just it was taken like a few years ago, but it's like one of those random like I don't know if you ever seen those like memes where it's just like random videos and stuff like that. So it's like it's a random video of our friend, and he's like pretending that like he's the god of YouTube and stuff like that.
Oh my god!
And he had like videos of him playing like the flute, and it was like it was just so funny. Like it was just yeah. I'm currently working on it right now, but it's I say I started working on it. I say about this would have been sometime last year, I presume. But yeah, I haven't really got to finishing it, only just because life,
Life happens.
life happens, and busy on the outside of like animation. But I mean, I am gonna try to find a day where I can be able to work on that animation again, and but not only that animation, but I actually would like to get back and just animating in general, because I feel like if I do more animations, that can like maybe potentially draw in like an audience, because I've seen like YouTube channels where like artists, they would release some of their artwork, but they can also sometimes they'll be able to do their animations too. And I feel like now with YouTube Shorts, maybe that can sort of help like spread out, say, oh, this guy does animations, I want if he does like full like videos, right? Because yeah. And in terms of like projects, that's sort of what I have in mind. And I say for now, it's like it could be just any video that I just want to release just for fun. I mean, just today I recently released a YTP of that Kinder Surprise commercial that was released back then.
I saw that
It's
before
the
class.
Humpty Dumpty one. I don't know if you ever seen it, but it's like a very creepy one. Well, to me, I find it hilarious because it's like the live action Humpty Dumpty is like saying, "Oh, chuck-a-doobie" and stuff like that. But I mean,
chuck-a-doobie.
Oh my god, yeah, it's so funny.
Okay.
It's so funny. But I mean, I just figured I just made that just for fun. But I mean, in terms of like actual content, I mean, I would definitely want to do art videos too, like make more painting, time lapse, and drawings. And, but animation is definitely the biggest one on top of the list right now. Just just wanting to do that, and hopefully I could be able to do that sometime this year. Hopefully, but for now, it's slowly getting there. But yeah, I say it's pretty good though.
So, what do you guys like? What are you most excited about this? Actually, before I get into that question,
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
How did you guys get into filmmaking? Like, why did you guys want to take this filmmaking course? Because, like, for you, for example, you, I know that you're into art, right?
Oh,
and I feel like a lot of people in this course are very artistic. Yes.
Yeah, and
You know
I
what
was gonna say that now that you mention it, because I did talk about this like during sound class. Yeah, I personally do see films as another form of art, and I mean,
Which it is.
Yeah, and it's true, like, and yes, art is a job. Filmmaking is a job too, film working as well, and and for me, it's like as a kid, like I was really obsessed with films and movies, like shows, video games, like you name it, and I always watched like VHS tapes a lot, like because we had a lot of those back in the 2000s, obviously, but I mean. Yeah, so throughout the years, like I've always like imagined like my own like stories, and sometimes I would even make my own stories like even during school or outside of school. And during the time when I was making my own comic strips, I always thought it'd be kind of cool if I did like sort of a cartoon series, if I somehow was able to do like directing and perhaps writing too, and if I had to do some animation too for that. But it slowly did come across to like eventually maybe live action would be really cool. And I would definitely say that horror films are one of my favorite genres, because horror is pretty cool. And I would say like horror, but some certain films, there's a lot of them, but some films definitely inspire me to have like this encouragement to be able to you know what, I'm gonna give this a try. And see, it's interesting though, because when wanting to come here, I wasn't originally going to take digital cinema, but I was going to take graphic design. And that was because I was an artist and, still an artist, but I mean, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, But I just decided not to because I thought, well, I mean, I know how to do art, so it's like, but filmmaking is a lot different because there's a lot of things that like, you know, I didn't even know like outside of it because like, you know, I've heard a lot of people before coming here, you know, when you come here, you're gonna see a lot of stuff
There's
that
a lot.
like behind the scenes.
There's a lot.
may
Look at
think-
the dolly
yeah,
that we just did.
Oh,
Right?
yeah. It's like they tell you, oh, well, you know, when you watch like films, you think, oh, well, it's simple. It's just straightforward. You
Yeah,
know,
but
you
you
just
don't
grab the
see-
camera. But no, it's literally
behind the
Literally
scenes,
everything,
it's behind the
yeah.
scenes that
It's
you
not-
don't see whatsoever.
We
And
don't
like
see it.
that that's the masterpiece about making a movie. It's just like there's a lot of work that goes into it. Like
oh yeah,
as Richard, our professor, says, he's like there's 4 steps to making a movie, right? Or you're rewriting it 4 times, right? The
exactly.
script, the screenplay, you might change some things, and then the final product, and then editing too, right? So
It's a
maybe
lot.
4 or 5,
Yeah.
right?
There's
But
a lot of
there's
there's
a
a
lot.
lot of work that goes into it.
Oh, exactly.
props,
Yeah.
design, like wardrobe, everything, and like it always fascinated me. For like coming from because as a kid I always watched like a lot of movies, and my favorite movie is Back to the Future, right?
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
stuff to do always with time, right? So that's where I'm always leading things with like time or a dream sequence or something like that. But like, you gotta take a breather there.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. All good. Yeah.
But yeah, you know, it's just
Yeah.
like I don't know, man. Movies are very fascinating, and I'm very excited for what we're gonna learn in the next year and a half. Because if you think what we're learning now is like crazy, just wait till we learn what's
We're
next
not
year.
there
Even our
yet.
third
We're
year.
not on
We're
that
not
level.
there.
Well, no,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's
Like, we're still
yeah.
newbies, right? Like, there's lots of learning that we're gonna do, lots of editing techniques that we're gonna learn, which is
What
gonna
we're
be
learning
amazing.
now.
Well, exactly.
I mean, we just had a class, and it was
Oh,
just
yeah.
like we're learning like tons of stuff that we probably
Oh,
wouldn't
yeah.
have known if we weren't here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
So
Mhm.
So, what are you guys most excited to learn about this course? Actually, Max, sorry, I didn't get to the part on why you wanted to take the course. Like, you know,
I
Even
feel
though I
like
know,
I
but-
wanted to take the course because I think the YouTube channel itself was, well, I would
It's
say
going
it was
great.
still
Oh,
going.
yeah,
It's
exactly,
going
yeah.
good now, but I was like, I have this thing here, and what could I do more to enhance my skills?
mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, I could do filmmaking because I like writing.
Yeah.
And I like producing stuff too because I would like there was an animation that I did produce, and it was like a Marvel Zombies animation.
Oh yeah.
And so that budget was like 13 grand.
Hmm.
I paid the artist, the storyboard artist.
Was this your first paycheck from YouTube?
No, this was like it was like the project spanned it over like a year.
Oh, okay.
So it was
okay.
like monthly, and it just came out in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And so that project was being made for 2 years in 2020. And so I had hired 2
For
years.
2 years,
2
you worked on
years.
a project, man.
One project. And I was very passionate because the way that the Marvel Zombies series had ended, I was like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
And it ended on like a paradox, like time, and it was a loop. So I'm like, I'm gonna break it and do my own ending.
Yeah.
And I felt like that ending satisfied fans, and from the response that I got, I was like, wow, like this is crazy. Like I could do something here. And I thought, I'm gonna go to film school, maybe I could be a producer. That was something that I wanted to do.
Oh yeah.
And maybe like get all these other talented people together and just make something.
Yeah.
So I think coming here was like a lot of reasons. I wanted to make money doing what I wanted to do. But then also I was having people telling me like, no, you're just going to do a 9-to-5 job. Like, and I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. Like I've had people tell me what I should be doing. And it kept pushing me to do the opposite because I'm like, I'm not going to be a slave to the system.
Yeah.
Like I will want to do what I want to do.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And-
yeah. And I feel like that's why we like to do YouTube. It's because like we have that creative freedom to do what we want to do.
Oh yeah.
And
But
when we
at the-
want to do it.
Exactly when we want to do it. But for you, speak because like you've grown your channel, you know what it's like to have a bit of YouTube money and whatnot, right? Because like it's a great monthly
it's a nice
income,
feeling.
right? I bet it is. So like going on to that with your first paycheck, right? With YouTube, like what was that like? Like how did you feel? Like how did like what was the video that got you that particular paycheck income? Or that income is what I was trying to say.
Like the first paycheck, this will probably be going back to like 2016. And that's when I did that. There was like this video. It was like Ronald McDonald versus John Cena.
Oh yeah.
The video hit like 2 million views. So at first, what I did was I didn't sign up for the YouTube partnership program.
Yep.
At the time, I went with I think it was like a MGM or something. Like there was, I forget what it was called. I think it was called Freedom. That's what it was
remember
called.
Freedom. Yeah, I remember Freedom.
So I signed up with them, and I remember getting, I think I got maybe $200-$300 from them, and it went like directly into my bank, and I was like, whoa. This is like this is nice. Like I like this. Like I'm making something.
Free money.
Free money.
Free money. Yeah.
And so over time, like with the evolution, and then when I started doing, I think it was when I was doing like the Marvel Spider-Man stuff, like a little bit before that, that's when I signed up for the AdSense program, because those Marvel Spider-Man videos were getting like 100K views.
Oh yeah.
And some of them, like they were doing pretty good. And when I got the acceptance letter in the mail, I remember going to my mom and I was like, holy crap, like look at this, like I actually got in. And she was like really excited. So then it just motivated me to do more. And I think it set in my mind, like I don't have to go down the path that my parents did with doing a 9-to-5.
Yeah, exactly.
I could take a different path and do something
that you enjoy,
that I enjoy.
You love.
And they were really excited, but they didn't know, like they were like, are you sure, like, because you might not make any more money from this? And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take a risk. Like I'm gonna just take a risk, take a chance now that I'm young, because I don't want to do it 10 years from now and then
Well, yeah.
So when I got those first paychecks, it was really nice. And then there was times I was getting like 10 grand. And that's when it was like
life-changing.
It was life-changing. It was life-changing. But at that time, I was really stupid with how I spent that money. And I wish if I could go back, I would go back and tell myself, be like, do not spend it. Like, do not do that.
Yeah. But you invested it back into your thing, to your channel, right? In a way. Yeah. I mean, and maybe you splurged quite a bit, I'm sure. As anybody would have with their first big 10 grand paycheck. It was like imagine 10 grand in your bank, you're like, whoa.
A lot of it went to like projects that still haven't been fully done. Like there was a animated series that me, and I want to shout out John Art Pelco, and I met him through, I was doing like the Marvel Spider-Man coverage. And so this artist, he goes and messages me on Facebook, and he's like, hey, like this is some of my artwork. I'm a fan of what you're doing. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. So I looked at his artwork, and then when I started doing like the smaller what ifs, I'm like, what if I got him to do like shot by shot, like actual like animation, like motion comic books? And so over time, we were like, okay, let's do this. So there was like 12 episodes, and in 2019, like that's how long this project's been going on for. And the thing that stopped us was during COVID, he had to raise his prices up, which is understandable because of, inflation and everything going on. So like I respected that. I'm like, you know what? Like that's fine, but it was unreachable for me. So I was only able to get like 12 shots with 12 episodes. But then we talked a bit later and we were like, okay, we still want to make this. So I might not be able to use your artwork, but I'm going to use you to do all the storyboarding. And so that's what we're doing now, is we're doing like a big project where he's doing all the storyboards. And I think it's just, going back to, like making like revenue on the channel. It's like that's going back into, these projects and giving back to the fans. So I think
Which is great.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
is great. With closing notes in a way, I guess we could say it's been like 40 minutes,
Yeah.
50 minutes,
Yes.
been
Yeah.
50 minutes. And I think that's pretty good for the first podcast in a way. That for the first professional podcast, by the way.
Oh,
First
yeah,
of all,
absolutely.
I'd also like to give a thanks to our camera crew in the back here. I'll grab this and show you what the camera crew looks like.
What's up?
We can give a special thanks to Max, Mackenzie. What a big special thanks to Max.
Max 1, Max 2.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, give it a round of applause for 2.
Yeah, round of applause because they all deserve it.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, it's man, the lighting on that's crazy. I just realized now.
Pretty intense.
But you know what? That's okay because you live and learn. We'll look back at this and be like, things that we could have done better as in lighting wise. Because I feel like it's the lighting and maybe audio wise too, is when we get like, they have professional mics that we could have used, but we don't have the qualifications to use that yet.
We're not there yet. But
Yeah.
We're
yeah.
slowly getting it though.
Oh, exactly.
Oh yeah. See.
But aside from that, I think the next podcast we should have one like every week or something like that.
Yeah.
That'd be
Or
really
every,
interesting.
just like it won't be 50 minutes long, but it'll be like maybe 20 minutes long. Just
Oh, yeah.
to discuss what we learned throughout the weeks, and just to, I don't know,
Whatever comes in mind.
whatever comes in mind. You know what I mean? So,
This is a journey. It's not a straight line. It's
it's a
Yeah.
roller coster,
It's a roller
baby. It's a
coaster.
roller
Racer,
coaster,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah. See.
But anyways, I want to thank my guests. I want to thank my guests. Woo! I want to thank my guest Cameron, the
Thank you,
Cameron
man.
Show for coming on,
Yeah,
and
appreciate it.
Max Charlebois for
Appreciate it.
coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it was awesome being here. Thank you for inviting us. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
I really
awesome.
appreciate it. Yeah, it was
Well,
awesome.
don't thank me. Thank the school, because
Yeah.
the school is really supporting these amazing cameras that,
Oh,
that
yeah.
you're seeing, right now. So, with that being said, boys and girls, this has been your boy Brady Dean, and have a good one.
Take care. Have an amazing day.
Hey, move, bitch, I'm tryna raise. You ain't come to party, get the fuck up out my way. Hey, yeah, I'm pouring out the ace.